How are you selling a 100 home at age 22?
Well, it's through systems. I mean, seriously, it's just, frankly, it's through leverage. Okay, so there's 4 categories of leverage.
大家好，欢迎收看房产经纪工作室，我是 Jack。那我们这个频道是专门为华人房地产经纪创办的一个频道。那我们今天很有荣幸，请到一位房地产的大师 Shon Kokoszka。那所以今天 Shon，can you introduce yourself to the audience?
Yeah, it's my pleasure. I'm Shon Kokoszka, founder of icon Coaching. A little background real fast, former president of Keller Williams, MAPS Coaching. We grew that to over 5,000 one-on-one coaching clients, the largest coaching company that real estate's ever seen. And we've helped thousands and thousands, hundreds of thousands of agents increase their production, their net income, their net worth, and most importantly, our bank account balance.
Yeah, right? That's the most important thing, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So beyond that, started in real estate when I was 20 years old. That was 31 years ago, Jack. So yes, I'm over a half century old. Okay, so started with RE/MAX, built a large team at RE/MAX, and frankly was kicked out of RE/MAX because I was building a team. So I went independent for a couple of years. Didn't love that. In fact, if you're thinking about starting your own brokerage, please just don't do it. Don't do it. In fact, I've got 2 sons that are both licensed with EXP. They're 23 and 22 years old. Jack, if they ever came to me and said, Dad, I want to start my own brokerage or I want to buy a franchise, frankly, I'd make them change their last name. I would write them out of my will because that is a limited opportunity, you guys. It's just, don't do it, okay? What I found is that I was limited based on the geographic territory in which I could attract agents to join my brokerage. And there were many months that I had to supplement the cost of running my own brokerage with my own commission dollars just to keep the doors open. So it just wasn't profitable. Then I aligned with Keller Williams. Meanwhile, you know, by the time I was 22 years old, Jack, I was closing over 100 buyer side transactions year after year after year. I was a buyer's agent on a team with my mother. We started together and we decided to start a team. Now, she was much smarter than I am. She said, I'm going to work the listing side of the business, and Shon, you're going to work the buyer side of the business. And so by the time I was 22, though, I had systemized the operation. I met a guy named Michael Gerber, and he's the author of a book called The E-Myth. And I fell in love with the concepts of that book. In fact, I flew out to California from Denver, Colorado. I spent 2.5 days with Michael Gerber. I gave him $10,000 to obtain my certification to become an E-Myth certified trainer and coach. So I come back to the office, man, that book is all about systems. Now, a system to me is a standardized process that produces a consistent and predictable result. And so I come back to the office after getting that certification and man, I'm on fire. I just systemized everything. We ended up writing 19 systems manuals around building a real estate team or brokerage. And then as a direct result of that, I was picked up by companies like iSucceed.com, iReal, companies like Howard Brinton Seminars back in those days, and of course, National Association of Realtors. And I found myself, Jack, presenting about 200 days per year, just flying all over the country. Now, I built the team to the point that it was systemized. I didn't need to be there any longer. In fact, I was more of a distraction than anything else. So I'm traveling all over the world and I'm presenting to, you know, over 1 million realtors over the course of my career. And, you know, we had our first child, my wife and I, we met when we were 12 years old in 7th grade. We were married at 21, had our first child at 28. So at that time when we had our first child, I said, you know, listen, I don't want to be traveling anymore. I don't want to be on the road all the time. Yeah. And, so I thought, well, what do I know? Well, I know real estate. So I stepped away from the stage and I started focusing on real estate again, but in a different kind of way, where I had the real estate team built and I was more of a distraction than anything else. And frankly, after doing so many transactions, over 4,000 transactions, I was a little bit burned out. Yeah. So I decided, well, I'm going to get into different line extensions associated with the real estate team. So I started a mortgage company, then a title company, then land development, then home building. And man, it was so much fun. I'm telling you, it was 6 income streams on one transaction. Yeah. I mean, think about it. When I bought the land, I represented the development company, so they gave me a commission. When we got the entitlements in place and pulled in curb, gutter, water, sewer, electricity, well then, we sold the lots to our building company. We peeled off some profit there. Yeah. As we built the home, we collected a supervision fee that exceeded our expenses. Then, of course, the real estate company listed the house. Yeah. Mortgage company would finance the house, and the title insurance would, of course, provide the insurance. So 6 income streams on one deal. Now, everything that I was doing at that time in Denver, Colorado, where the average sales price was probably around 250,000. Everything we were doing was well in excess of $1 million. So we were luxury market, luxury builders. So the cycle began again for the mortgage company, the real estate company, the title company, because most of the buyers that purchased our properties had a property they needed to sell.
Yeah.
So dude, it was millions of dollars of income every single month. I mean, we were making money hand over fist. It was private jet trips to Vegas every other weekend. It was, a couple of months in Europe. I mean, it was everything that you could possibly imagine that you'd want in your life. And then, 2008 hit.
So this is prior to 2008.
Yeah, this was prior to 2008. Okay. This was between 1999 and 2008. And it was so much fun. Yet I kept reinvesting, right? It was the relentless pursuit of more.
Yeah.
And that's what really pulled me down. See, if I were smarter, I would have pulled back a little bit. Yet I didn't see it coming. I just thought, hey, this market's going to last forever, right? And so in 2008, I had buyers walking away from $250,000 earnest money deposits.
Wow.
Seriously, just walking away. And I had 16 land developments, well over 100 homes under construction. And what do you do? I mean, what do you do when you own a whole bunch of stuff that nobody wants?
To get rid of it or rent it out or?
But here's what you do. You become a short sale expert.
Oh, your own.
on my own properties, right?
I see.
It was no fun. I'm telling you, it was like, it took about 4 years to get through all of that turmoil, yet I lost about $32 million in the process.
Wow.
I was in debt to the construction lenders, well over $100 million. And it was deeds in lieu of foreclosure. It was short sale after short sale. And here's the thing though, at that time in my life, it was very dark. Okay? It was very depressing. And I was even adding up my life insurance policies, saying, would my family be okay if I weren't here? I mean, it was tough, man.
Yeah.
It's really tough.
Yeah.
Yet, when you're at your lowest of lows, and we've all kind of been there one way or another, right? You have the most opportunity for growth. And so I just encourage you to really discover that purpose, that why. What is it that drives you? And during that time in my life, I looked back upon my career and I looked at my time with the seminar companies and being up on that stage and adding value to people. And I said, that's my purpose. That's why I'm here. And that's, quite frankly, Jack, what saved me. It really did. It saved me from, it's why I'm here today. That's why I flew out to LA to be with you and to present to your audience and just to add value to them, because that is the core purpose. That's what gets me out of bed every day, and that's what drives me and motivates me. And man, I love it when my clients are just winning. And it just feels so good.
Yeah. I want to thank you so much for coming over to LA from Texas.
Yes.
Right? And backtrack a little bit based on what you're just saying. I got like 2 questions.
Yeah.
Number one is that you were saying that you're selling 100+ home a year at age 22.
Yes.
I'm sure the audience wants to know how to do that. My partner is 42. He hasn't even sold 100 home yet. So how are you selling 100 home at age 22?
Well, it's through systems. I mean, seriously, it's just, frankly, it's through leverage. Okay, so there's 4 categories of leverage. Number 1 is models. So your economic model, your financial model, your budgeting model, your lead generation model, very important, lead conversion models. Of course, your compensation model if you choose to leverage through people. Then through systems, and again, a system is a standardized process that produces a consistent and predictable result. So you do it the same way every single time. You modify it only for the dominant behavior style of your prospect or client, and yet you get that consistent, predictable result. Now, beyond systems would be technology, to leverage through technology, and maybe that makes our lives so much easier when you know how to use it, right? See, so many people, they sign up for a CRM, they don't investigate how to use it, they don't train themselves on how to use it. Therefore, they're only leveraging about 3 or 4% of the capability of the CRM. But to be able to segment your list, communicate with them aggressively and appropriately, critically important. Then finally, it's through people. Okay, so we systemized the entire process to where when a lead would come in, we systemized the scripting. What do you say? How do you say it? And that was a very simple system. It's a process. And I developed the 7-step formula to the lead conversion conversation that is highly effective. I've consulted and coached with companies like the Mark Spain organization is a past client of mine. 8,800 transactions last year alone. Okay?
Wow.
And yet I worked with their ISA team, their buyer agent team, their listing specialist team to really systemize the scripting. Now, I also worked with Lance Loken, who did 3,800 transactions last year, not bad. Worked with his ISA team. Now, what we did is we we committed to 1 hour of practice every day.
Okay.
Every day, Monday through Friday, 1 hour of practice every day on the 7-step formula, the 10 common buyer objections, the 6 common listing presentation objections, and then how to make sure that once an appointment is set, that they actually show up for the appointment. Okay, so we worked 1 hour a day. Now, what we do today in business does not show up tomorrow, does it?
3 months.
Yeah, about 3 months later, no doubt. So we started this in January of 2020, okay? And we started this 1 hour of practice daily. Now, during the midst of a pandemic, in April, they had their highest appointment set month ever. In May, they had their highest appointment conversion, meaning that they showed up for the appointment in the history of the organization. Now, at this time, within that company's trajectory, they were closing about 150 transactions per month pretty consistently, right? Pretty consistently. Yet in May, now think, we started in January, and yet here we are 4 months later. In May, they closed 222 transactions.
In 1 month.
In 1 month, during the midst of a pandemic. In 1 month.
Yeah.
Yes, no doubt about that. So, knowing what to say, knowing how to say it, and then of course, say it to enough people. Those are the only three things we can truly control.
Yeah. Just to put in perspective, in California, average agent sells about 3.6 to 4 homes a year. So first of all, you selling 4,000 homes, it's gonna take them 1,000 years to do that. And to sell 200 homes a month, that's just crazy. That's unheard of, right? So I know that you are, well, first of all, what were your schedule like? Because we have a lot of our audience, they're selling 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 homes a year. What do you think it takes for them to, schedule-wise, or to get to the next level?
Well, I would encourage them to simply master the AM hours of the day, the morning hours. Okay, I used to be the guy that, I read 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen R. Covey, right?
Yeah.
And I was that guy who time blocked every minute of every day. Okay.
Minutes.
Yeah, every minute of every day. Seriously, from 5 a.m. till 7 p.m. Here's what you're supposed to do and when you're supposed to do it, right? Sadly, I believe that I kind of set myself up for disappointment by doing that. Now, I collaborated with Gary Keller and Jay Papasan in the writing of the book, The One Thing. Okay, and The One Thing is a #1 New York Times bestseller, and I created all the training curriculum on the back end of the success of that book. Right, over 8 million copies sold. So. What I learned is that the AM hours, oh, look at that.
Here.
See, my name's in the back of the book, not the front of the book. It's like the last page. Awesome. So nevertheless, so I had a lot of fun, going through all of that, the case studies and everything that we discovered. And yet, here's what I learned. Our willpower is highest first thing in the morning, in the AM hours of the day. So it's the difficult tasks that need to be done first thing in the day, right? It's lead generation, it's lead follow-up, it's conversion, it's all of those things that we got to focus on, the 20% effort, if that makes sense. So Pareto's principle, the 80-20 rule, right? 20% of our actions in real estate sales will yield at least 80% of our results. So the 20% job description is really quite simple. It's #1 to practice, okay? You got to know what to say, you got to know how to say it. Second would be lead generation, and then lead follow-up. And those are the 3 things that I would encourage you to focus on in the AM hours of the day. So for example, you start your day at 8:30, and you're going to practice for 30 minutes, the what to say, the how to say it. 9 o'clock, you shift gears. You're going to focus on lead generation, then lead follow-up, maybe at 10 o'clock, and you're going to do that from 10 to 11, then 11 o'clock. If you happen to be with EXP, and you have this opportunity, the biggest opportunity in front of us today, which is building revenue share, then maybe from 11 to 12, you're going to focus on agent attraction to help EXP grow, because when you attract an agent, they sell a house, they pay EXP 20%, well, you're guaranteed to make money based on that agent's production, which is pretty amazing.
Yeah. I know you have a really big organization right now.
Yeah.
And how long have you been with EXP?
3 years and 1 month.
Oh, wow. Okay, that's amazing.
Yeah, so we got just over 2,200 agents within our organization. And by the way, the average income to you per agent per month, it's going to be about $61.
Do the math.
Do the math.
Do the math. So, Shon, were you always like this when you were young? I know that you mentioned earlier when we were chatting that you mentioned that you got some mentors. So how important, who was your mentor? And how important is it to have a mentor?
Oh, I'd say incredibly important. #1, I have to give all praise to my mother. I got to tell you, she's a very driven woman. If you've ever heard of Diana Kokoszka, look her up. She's writing a book right now. It's going to be published here in about 30 days or so. But you know, she's an amazing person. She inspired me and motivated me. My grandfather, undoubtedly. Yet they instilled a work ethic, and that's the key, right? See, so many times I work with an agent, and I'll give them the path. Okay, because it's proven, it's a system, and there's certain things that you can do or not do to be successful in real estate sales. Now, I'll give them the path. I'll blaze the trail. Okay, and it's like right foot here, right, left foot here, right foot there. And what they do is they wander off into the forest. No, seriously, they just wander off into the forest. So it's really up to people whether or not they're going to follow their mentors, if they're going to follow the advice, right? And one of the biggest game changers was meeting a guy named Howard Brenton. Okay. Now, he was he's since passed on, yet he was my mentor. He's the guy who gave me my first stage. Okay. So, and by the way, I was terrible. He had to come up on stage and save me. I was just really bad, which reminds me of one of my favorite quotes. Every master was once a disaster. Okay. Seriously. Okay. And so I was a disaster. And while I've got my 10,000 hours up on that stage, and I think I'm a pretty good presenter, I can always get better. No doubt about that. But Howard motivated me, Tony DeCello motivated me, and my mother certainly, and then just getting in the right rooms.
I think you mentioned earlier, your family is friend with Zig Ziglar.
Yes, and Zig Ziglar, undoubtedly, huge influence in my life, no doubt. Yeah, so can I digress, tell a quick story?
Yeah.
See, I hired Zig to come out and do a presentation in Las Vegas, and it was a mega camp event for Keller Williams. And he was center stage, okay, so it's like a boxing arena, you know, like the boxing ring would be in the middle, and it's surrounded by, there's probably 15,000 people in the audience, and Zig knocked it out of the park. Wow. And afterward, we had this luncheon, and I had my two sons with me. They were probably 5 and 6 at this time. Wow. And I wanted to introduce them. They'd never met Zig before. So I come up to Zig, and he's sitting at this luncheon. He's at this table with like 8 other people at this round table. And I felt bad interrupting because all these people were just hanging on every word he was saying, right? Yeah. And so I tapped him on the shoulder. I said, Zig, I'm so sorry to interrupt you, yet I've got my 2 sons here, and I just want to introduce you. Now, if it were me, Jack, at that moment in my life, I probably would have turned around and just said, nice to meet you, and get back to the conversation, right? Not Zig. No, he stood up. He stood up, he turns his chair around 180 degrees, and he sits down to be eye level with my boys, okay? And he says to my oldest son, his name's Armando, he says, step forward, please. And he grabs him by the shoulders like this, okay? And he looks him up and down, and he grabs him by his ears. And he looks behind this ear, and he looks behind that ear, and then he turns him around, looks him up and down, and turns back. He said, yep, I knew it, I just had to be 100% sure. And he says, my youngest, who was probably 5 years old at that time, his name's Dante. And he grabs him by the shoulders, same thing, looks behind his ears, up, down, the whole thing, sets him back, and he said, you know what? I can spot him a mile away. And I just had to be 100% sure. And he said this, and I'm thinking to myself, what is he going to say? Yeah. I mean, this is a man I've admired my entire career, right? And he looks at him and he said, you boys are winners. Wow. See, every conversation we have an opportunity to impact somebody at a very deep level. Now, I don't know if do you believe in affirmations? Yeah. See, I love affirmations. I think it changes our thought process, our neural pathways. And so my boys have an affirmation. What do you think it is?
I'm a winner.
That's exactly right.
Your mastermind call, you always say, that's winning.
That's winning. Yeah. That's exactly right. Yeah. Yeah, a lot of people think that's about Charlie Sheen. It has nothing to do with Charlie Sheen.
I see.
It's about being a winner.
Yeah. I know, Shon, because I'm on your mastermind call weekly.
Yes.
I know that you have a program which you're training agents as well. Would you mind share with the audience?
Oh, it's my pleasure. So we've got Accelerated Breakthrough. It's a 16-week coaching and training program. Jack, you've been through that, haven't you?
I did the attraction.
Oh, the traction in action, yes. So the Accelerated Breakthrough, it's all about improving your sales volume, your net income, your net worth, and your bank account balance, okay? It's 16 weeks of coaching and training. It's 1 hour a week. You get a workbook every week. There's assignments between sessions that are strategically designed to help you double, triple, even quadruple your production in real estate sales. Then we have Attraction in Action for those of you that are with the EXP. You want to learn how to build that residual and passive income, this wake-up money, which is the only thing I've found that has increased my income and my freedom at exactly the same time. I mean, you can make more money in real estate sales, no doubt about that. You're going to pay for that extra money with what?
Time.
Freedom.
Yeah.
No doubt about that. See, revenue share shows up whether you produce or not. It's the best thing I've ever done, seriously. And it's inheritable. You know that, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm going to fly back tonight to Austin. I mean, heaven forbid the plane goes down.
No, you won't.
Heaven forbid. My family will be taken care of for the rest of their lives. So powerful.
Awesome.
So good. So grateful.
Yeah.
So check that out. You can go to iconcoaching.com. Just check it out. So, and if not, join our private Facebook group. Just go to Icon Coaching. Check it out on Facebook. And, we're just constantly posting videos and, educationally type content that's going to help you grow your production.
That's actually how we got connected as well. I was able to get on the mastermind calls and learn from Shon and to build that connection. And again, thank you so much for flying over to help us doing I'm sure it's going to be an amazing seminar later.
Oh, yeah.
And can't wait for that to start.
Me either.
Awesome. So thank you so much, Shon. So if you like the content of our video, please subscribe to our channel and see you guys next week. Bye-bye.
Bye.